Hi friends, welcome to Live Letter Logs, a series where I review the latest live letter from the producer and, as a Japanese interpreter, provide some extra insight into the game's updates. I won't be going over every detail of the broadcast. There are plenty of channels out there who have already uploaded very thorough videos summarizing the live letter. I just wanted to talk about some of the extra comments made by Yoshi-P and Murouchi-san that I thought were really interesting. Today we're reviewing Live Letter 70, which aired on April 1st, 2022, and covers some of the new changes coming in patch 6.1 Newfound Adventure. I did also watch the broadcast live on Twitch, providing translation in real time, so please drop me a follow there if you're interested. The first thing we saw was the video trailer, which looks amazing. I guess they were having some kind of frame rate issues on Twitch because I saw a lot of comments in the chat like FF14 FPS, which I thought were pretty funny. But the video itself does look really good. Some of the new boss gimmicks look pretty cool, and like everyone, I'm really keen to see where the story's going. We also heard a snippet of music from Final Fantasy IX. The song is named Hunter Chance, if you're interested and want to look it up. It may hint at maybe more Final Fantasy IX references coming in the near future, I'm not sure. Yoshi-P starts with a warm welcome and comments on how we're already at the 70th live letter, and he's always happy to see people getting excited when we're watching the trailers, and he loves seeing all the comments like flying across the screen, so that was really nice to hear. Patch 6.1 is dropping on Tuesday the April 12th, with maintenance starting a day before on Monday the 11th at 8 p.m. Japan time and lasting for roughly 24 hours, during which time they'll be reading out all of the patch notes as they do usually. We then watched the trailer again with a bit of commentary. Yoshi-P jokes that he wonders how much Estinian paid for that map, because we know Estinian's terrible with money. And he also says that the story is going to have a lot of really personal elements for the player, so I'm pretty excited to see what's going to happen. Onto the slides, we're getting more MSQ, which Yoshi-P has said is really long. This time it's a big like MSQ update. We're also getting some new side quests with Tataru coming in 6.15. The reason that Tataru's side quest is coming in 6.15 is that for a better player experience, they want the player to do the new MSQ first, because I think then it will flow a little bit better. We also have a new role quest storyline. This is actually going to be the storyline that happens after you've completed all 5 of the different role quests. He mentions that they actually have a really elaborate battle within this story, so if you haven't done the role quests yet, now's a good time to finish them. We have the new Beast Tribe quest coming in 6.15. These are for battle classes, as well as Hildebrand in 6.15 and the new Omega storyline quest. He said that the Omega story is a direct sequel to the Raid series story from Stormblood. He said they worked really hard on the content and they've made a really deep story, so if you haven't done the Omega raids, now is the perfect time. Side note, they've also changed the name Beast Tribes to just Tribal Quests in English. In Japanese, it's actually now the Friendly Tribal Quests, which I think is really nice, and the new hub is going to be in Thavner. We saw some new mounts, including the new Hippo and Cart mount, which is going to be from the new Tribal Quest, as well as a bunch of other mounts which are from other content, but we don't know exactly where it's going to be from yet. One that Yoshi-P noted on in particular was the new Pod mount. He said it looks like his Lalafel's arm is going to get pulled right off, and he also said that this mount isn't going to be particularly difficult to get. He said players will be able to take it easy and have fun while trying to get it. One of the other big things we have coming is the new duty support system. On release, it will have all of the 2.0 main scenario dungeons. He said they made a lot of changes to these old dungeons. They previously mentioned things like the slime being removed in Totorak, or a teleporter being added at the basement of Hawk Manor to teleport players back to the beginning of the dungeon and things like that. As we know, Cape Westwind and the following duties have all been reworked, and he comments that the new fight with La Habrea at the end of the Realm Reborn story is going to be something really worthy of an ASEAN, so he really wants people to try New Game Plus and go and see that. So the new MSQ Roulette will consist of the newly reworked Castrum Meridianum, Praetorium, and the new Ultimate Weapon Duty, because these two dungeons, the Castrum Meridianum and Praetorium, are still going to be, even though they're being reworked into smaller 4-man content, they're still going to be longer than your average dungeon. He did jump into Totorak, and we could see that it looks pretty different inside. He said they've updated things like lighting and textures across a lot of the dungeons to give everything a really fresh feel. So I'm pretty excited to see what other changes they've got in the other dungeons as well. We have the new Extreme Trial for the Endsinger, which Yoshi-P thinks the English name, which is the Minstrel's Ballad, Endsinger's Aria. He commented that he thought this sounded really cool. He said it will be super hard, and I believe it will reward 2 totems for its difficulty, and if it's the same as in Shadowbringers, then this will drop weapons. This extreme version of the trial will begin from the second phase of the normal fight, so it's after the Scions have all, offered their power to the Warrior of Light, so you feel that you're already in the middle of the fight and, up to the good bit. We have a new Alliance raid coming, Mythology of Eorzea, the first of which is called Aglaya. The Japanese name is actually Aglaya Shining Castle of the Gods. It's focusing on the 12 Guardians of Eorzea. We saw some footage of the new raid, which looks absolutely stunning. The team shared some designs of the gear sets. Yoshi-P said there's a mountain of new battle gimmicks, and he's really excited for the players to experience it. He said one special feature of these gear sets is that the color kind of reacts a little bit to the lighting of wherever you are, so it might appear more white or it might appear more gold, depending on the environment that you're in. And he said that the story will explore these guardians. Did they actually exist? What connection do they have to the gods of Eorzea? Yoshi-P mentioned the primals and said we might encounter something relating to the primals within these raids as well. We also have the new Ultimate Duty Dragon Song Reprise coming in 6.11. He comments that this is probably harder than the other ultimates and recommends really taking your time to defeat it. Then we have the Unending Codex. This is going to be a log with lots of lore that will automatically update as you go on your adventure. This codex won't be something that you actively go and like seek out to fill out. It's more something that will just update automatically as you go. The idea being that the Warrior of Light is keeping some kind of a journal or a log of the people they meet and the things they experience. So like as you meet a person, it would unlock some notes about that person in the codex. We also have new Hrothgar hairstyles. One point I wanted to mention was that Yoshi-P said that for Hrothgar, their ears and their head are kind of connected into one single asset. So it's not possible for them to separate the ears when they put hairstyles on. So these hairstyles and all new hairstyles after this will have to cover the ears. He said that's the only way they can do it. We're also getting updates to glamour plates. It's going to go up to a maximum of 20 glamour plates, and you'll be able to apply them in any sanctuary, as well as a new feature to try on Mog Station items by sleeping at an inn. They had to be really, really careful here because he said there were so many new things in the Mog Station that they didn't want to show. So they kept jumping in and out of the game footage and the studio to make sure that they didn't show anything that they weren't supposed to. And he also said they plan to update this so that you can actually see how Mog Station items will look together with gear that you currently have equipped. They didn't say when this would be finalized, but I imagine it would be 6.15 because that's when a lot of the other new features are going to be planned to be finalized by then as well. We also got some information about some new job updates. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. There's just a couple of points I wanted to make. One, they mentioned this at least 4 times. They said the list is not exhaustive. There would be updates to the classes that are shown here, but the updates are not described, as well as updates to the other classes as well. So he said they're still working on a lot of things. This is just what they can share at the moment, but there will be plenty of other updates coming to the other classes as well. One point in particular they mentioned is that all the healers have had their MP looked into, their MP usage looked into. So I think we could expect some minor MP adjustments for all of the healers, not just for White Mage and Scholar, which we saw here. Also, he noted that Scholar's expedient buff is being reduced from 20 seconds to 10 seconds, and Yoshi-P really apologized to Scholars everywhere and please ask that you forgive him for this change. Next on to housing. Yoshi-P noted that all housing areas will use this new lottery system, not just the Imperium, not just in Ishgard, but everywhere. They're also adding these FC-only plots, and he said that there will be more plots that are just for FCs than not, so those FC plots will be the majority. They said they're also going to be closely monitoring the situation and listening to player feedback, and then they'll change it if they need to. Next, we have the Adventurer plates and Portrait plates. These are both being released in beta. There are still some changes that they want to make, and they really want to hear the players' feedback as well. So they're hoping to have these 2 new features finalized by 6.15 as well. The Adventurer plate is a new calling card style customizable plate. Yoshi-P kept saying this is a way to introduce yourself to other players. You know, normally when you see another player, all you can do is examine them and see what class they're playing as right now. But with this new Adventurer plate, you'll be able to see more about them, who they really are, what kind of class they like to play, what their play style is, things like that. It has a lot of customizable elements, many of which will unlock through quests or achievements. He mentioned things like once you unlock White Mage, you'll be able to unlock features relating to White Mage on the Adventurer plates and things like that. Or maybe once you do crafting achievements, you'll unlock crafter-related design elements in the Adventurer plates as well. We also have the Portrait Editor, which lets you create a really detailed self-portrait, actually. These function in a similar way to G-Pose. Again, things like backgrounds and frames will become unlockable over time. On release, there's just going to be 20 slots for the Portrait Editor, but they said they plan to increase this to 100 slots by patch 6.15 as well. Besides the Adventurer plate, these portraits will be used in something called a Current plate. He said that this is a working name. They're probably going to change the name. He said the way to think of it right now is a duty plate, or a plate that will show up when you jump into certain duties. Right now, this current plate is only going to be used in the new PvP, Crystalline Conflict, but he said that they plan to add it to more things. One thing he mentioned in particular was Dome and Mahjong. So I could easily see them adding this to something like Chocobo Racing or Triple Triad, things like that as well. So PvP is getting some major updates, the first of which is we're getting this new PvP mode called Crystalline Conflict. I'm not going to talk about this too much because they really explained everything on the screen. But one comment Yoshi-P did make is about the jobs. It seems that the PvP jobs are all getting some abilities reworked, as well as their limit breaks are going to be reworked. So each class will have their own limit break. He mentioned, for example, Samurai would have Zantetsuken or something like that. There's also a lot more updates to the PvP, the new reward system, but I'm not going to go into too much detail about that here. Some of the other notes they mentioned at the end of the broadcast here was that the Garo event is returning. He said there are so many new players in the game that didn't get to experience this the first time, so they wanted to bring it back so more people can get to try this new event. We're also going to have a new Primals concert that's going to be live in Japan this year, and they also announced this mini album release, which is going to have 4 songs on it, which comes with this backstage pass style stickers. Also, these are going to be available from the Square Enix shops. There's also a Final Fantasy XIV art book on sale from September 13th. The reservations are already available now. I'm going to try and get this. It comes with a wind-up Ragnarok minion, so I'm going to definitely try and get this. Also, this collaboration Panasonic speaker, which is, again, already on sale in many countries and will be going on sale in other countries pretty soon. Yoshi-P said he used this himself and he really recommends it. He thinks it's really great. And finally, Yoshi-P was on a Japanese TV show. The show is called Shikujiri Sensei. Basically, the idea is that somebody who's had a particular failure or learn a particular lesson from their life, they come onto this show with all of these comedians and they talk about the lessons that they learned from this big failure they had in their life. And so Yoshi-P is there representing Square Enix or representing Final Fantasy XIV, and he talks a lot about how what were the problems with the game, why it was received so poorly when it released, and how Square Enix handled it. So this is a 2-part episode. The first part is all about the failure of the original Final Fantasy XIV, and then the next part is all about how they went about reviving the game. This first episode is actually available to watch for free on Abema TV. I'll put the link in the description. It's only in Japanese. I'll try to post another video with a summary or some comments about the show. If you do understand Japanese, I recommend watching it. It's pretty funny. And Yoshi-P does a really good job of very delicately, carefully, respectfully talking about the problems that the game had originally and how they went about fixing them. He talks about things like the flower pot that contained as many polygons as the player, or doors that would take 15 seconds to open and things like that. So I recommend having a look if you do understand Japanese. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. As I mentioned, this is not all of the updates. There are plenty of other things coming in patch 6.1 that I didn't go over here just because they covered everything very carefully on the screen. So if there's anything I missed, then it's just because there was not any other interesting comments to make about it. Please drop a like and subscribe for more Final Fantasy content, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.